Who are the Insulation Busters? Tanner Moray, Haley Duke, Drew Donovan, and Mike DeFini. Together, they have over 37 days of expertise on various types of insulation and experimentation.
This week on Installation Busters, we will be looking at some of the types of insulation used in the industry.
So within our 37 days of expertise, we are going to put our skills to the test. I'm going to experiment with fiberglass insulation.
Alright, I'll look at spray foam.
In this episode, we'll be putting these insulations through a series of criteria such as R value, cost, ease of installation, longevity, and durability. I'm going to experiment with rock wool.
And I'll take the final option of cellulose insulation.
First off, I'm going to start by looking at fiberglass insulation. Fiberglass insulation is made out of tiny reinforced plastic fibers. This material's R value depends on the product that is being used and also its thickness. R13 insulation costs around 20 to 40 cents per square foot and has a thickness of 3.25 inches to 3.5 inches. This product is available in many sizes and thicknesses in any big box stores, so it is available to many homeowners, making it a quality option for your home. Since the product is made out of tiny fibers, a mask, gloves, and long sleeves should be used when installing this product. If these precautions are not used when installing fiberglass insulation, it can result in health problems such as bronchitis and also asthma. Ease of installation is another thing that makes this fiberglass better than others. Since it is sold in the rolls and by the square foot, it is simply cutting the fiberglass with a box knife to the length and width needed. An advantage to having fiberglass in your home is that it's good at keeping the sound in and not letting it out. The longevity of fiberglass insulation is around 15 to 20 years before it needs to be replaced, this making fiberglass a good and cheap alternative for insulation in your home.
Those are some excellent points. Now, let's get to spray foam.
First off, spray foam is clearly the best insulation choice. To help make my case, I'm going to start at the beginning, the creation of spray foam. Spray foam was created by Otto Bayer, who was an industrial chemist in Germany, but brought his creation to the US in the 1940s to be used for military purposes, in machines and plastics and such. There is a lot more history I could get into about this product, but that's not the point here. The point is that spray foam has been around for a while and has been improved upon in multiple ways from production to durability. To help explain why the durability of spray foam is the best, I need to break spray foam down chemically. Spray foam is made up of two organic materials, one of those materials being isocyanate, which is mainly used in foams and fibers since when mixed with some type of alcohol, it can foam up depending on what other component you mix it with. The other material is polyrhizine, which has multiple chemical makeups. The one I will be focusing on is polyurethane. This type is mainly used for reactions with other materials. The key characteristics of this chemical is that once it bonds with another chemical, it rapidly cures, becomes very durable, especially to impact, and attaches to many surfaces. But thanks to these chemical compounds, spray foam has taken on two distinct types, open and closed cell, each with its own perks. While both these spray foams are applied the same way, one does have a higher R value than the other. R value, in short, is resistance to hot airflow and how well insulated the material is. Closed cell spray foam has 6 to 7 inches of insulation, while open spray foam has about 3.5 inches of insulation. Once the spray foam is sprayed onto the wall, it sticks and pillows up for easy insulation, so it's much faster than your products. The only concern with this process is the chemicals. If not cured properly, the resulting chemical is very toxic. Along with that, it's important to have the right equipment for the job. This includes a coverall so no skin is exposed, gloves made of these materials that fit properly, proper eye protection, and a respirator, or go for the full body suit with a built-in respirator. If you guys are more curious about this, OSHA has sections regarding standards and equipment we can look more into once we decide spray foam is the best choice. Spray foam is good for over 30 years, and spray foam seals air leakage, moisture damage, and bugs that threaten the house. Also, because of the chemical bond, it's nearly impossible for mold and germs to grow. And thanks to the sealing properties, it minimizes air loss, therefore lowers your electricity bill. But enough about that. Let's get to the real seller, figuratively and literally. Open cell spray foam typically sells from 44 cents to 65 cents per board foot, while closed-cell spray foam sells for about $1 to $1.50 per board foot. As for where to find the product, it sells at your typical retailers, Home Depot, Lowe's, Walmart, etc. So now that I've laid it all out, you can all clearly see why spray foam is the obvious choice.
Those are some great points on spray foam, but now let's look at rock wool. Rock wool is a mineral wool insulation that was first developed in the 1950s. This type of insulation will be observed on things such as R value, cost, ease of installation, and longevity of the product. Beginning with the R value of rock wool, we see that when insulating a traditional 2x6 exterior wall, the 2x6 bat will insulate the wall to R32 rating, which surpasses the code due to a slightly higher R value per inch from rock wool than materials like fiberglass and cellulose, which will help save money on the years to come as the owner of the home. Next, when we look at the cost of rock wool, it is slightly higher than both fiberglass and cellulose, yet less than spray foam. Although it is not the cheapest product, it does come with several benefits that make it an amazing product to put in your home, and I'll mention some of these properties later. Since we'll now look at the ease of installation of rock wool. Similar to many other insulations, it is recommended to wear respirators and long sleeve shirts to help prevent from any itching or irritation from fibers of the insulation. The product itself is very simple to install, and it can be cut with a bread knife, and there is no nailing or stapling involved. This product can be easily done by a homeowner, although it is still recommended to be done by a professional to achieve the best performance out of the product. So rock wool is also a very durable product and resistant to many elements. For example, unlike many other products, if it does indeed get wet, it will not lose any R value once it is properly dried. Rock wool is very fire resistant due to a high melting temperature of 1800 degrees Fahrenheit, which means that this product will slow any fire in your home, giving your family more precious moments if your home unfortunately catches fire. Another property that makes rock wool a superior product is that it performs as an excellent sound barrier, and when in the interior walls between bedrooms or on exterior walls to block noise such as highway traffic or gunshots if you live in the ghetto.
Those were some pretty solid points you made about rock wool insulation, Tanner, but I got something even better. So, let's start with the basics. So what is cellulose? Cellulose is a plant fiber. It is the main component or constituent found in the cell walls of plants. Cellulose is actually one of the oldest types of insulation materials. It became really popular in the 1950s through 1970s, but earlier forms of cellulose insulation have been traced back all the way into colonial homes here in America, most notably at Monticello, which is Thomas Jefferson's estate in Charlottesville, Virginia. Cellulose can be extracted from many different types of materials, such as cotton, cardboard, straw, sawdust, hemp, and newspaper. In today's world, cellulose is typically extracted from newspaper and other recycled papers. So what makes blown-in insulation so special? Well, for one, cellulose is fairly cheap. The material itself is about 25% cheaper on average than some of the other types of insulation out there, such as fiberglass. In addition to this, cellulose insulation is form-fitting, so it fills all those awkward nooks and crannies in your walls without causing structural damage. Pretty convenient if you ask me. Did I mention that cellulose is fire retardant? Cellulose is sprayed with boric acid, which makes it fire retardant and acts as an insect repellent too, which is pretty handy. If all of that wasn't enough to convince you guys that cellulose was the best form of insulation, it also has a moderate R value rating of 3.2 to 3.6, and it has a longevity of over 100 years. So you'll be dead before you even need to get new insulation. By far the biggest downfall, though, of cellulose insulation is that the installation process is a real pain in the ass. But blown-in cellulose creates a lot of dust and other crappy stuff that you don't really want to inhale for extended periods of time. So if you care about your lungs, you may want to go find a chain smoker to do this for you. Otherwise, you may get cancer.
So overall, we chose rock wool for the best insulation due to its outstanding performance. It gives the space with a traditional 2x4 or 2x6 wall cavity and R value that surpasses code and will save on energy bills for years to come.
Even though it's a more expensive product, it will save the homeowner money and last for years.
Rock wool is also a very simple product to install by any homeowner, giving them the option to save money on installation.
It also has excellent performance. Even if it were to get wet, it would still maintain the same R value, and gives your family more precious moments to vacate the property if your house were to catch fire.
Insulation Busters!
Yeah, but I don't know what you want me to do.
She's rolling.
In this episode, we'll be putting these through a series. Well, I better say insulation in there.
Wait, let me get the chairs.
Yeah.
Are you keeping your bag there?
I don't want to just hit the floor. So yeah, you can get the bag there. They won't
Well, I mean,
notice.
if you like filmed at a higher I guess.
Doesn't really matter.
In this episode, we'll be putting these insulations through a series of criteria such as R value, cost, ease of installation, longevity, and durability. I'm going to experiment with rock wool.
And I'll take the final option of cellulose insulation.
If anything, I could just cut us so we can each do our own part, as long as we don't move too much.
Yeah.
If your house were to catch fire,
Insulation.
Wow, that's money.